But I've learned enough to know that you got nothing going on, and that's not cute.
And there's no telling how low he can sink.
Not completely, but I respect it. Now you should think about what is right for you.
Just more made of love, honey.
It means that you're living an insignificant life you'll never be remembered by a single person.
Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey, chapter 277. It is the second day of the week, aka the Special Beam Cannon workout. I am feeling pretty good. Just a little tired, but it is what it is. But anyways, to the main subject matter for today. The one friend that ended up forgetting to grow up. So there is no real reason per se that I wanted to do this one. I saw it on my list and I was like, fuck, I kind of want to talk about this. This is just such a random thing to talk about. But it was something that, you know, as soon as I saw it, many things crossed my mind immediately. So I was like, all right, you're being chosen. I think that everybody at a certain point in their lives has a friend that you kind of have to kind of let go of. They ended up never really growing up. And it's kind of interesting because there's a certain point where you kind of have to say yes or no to them. It's very interesting. And I think everybody has that. I don't think anybody's immune to this, only because I feel like these people are very common. It's nothing wrong with it. I mean, things happen in other people's lives that make them never really finish the process of growing up, or they take extracurricular activities, aka, you know, doobies and all that other stuff, and it causes them to never really transfer into the next level of the world, really, or reach maturity. You know, there's a lot of different things like that. The glug 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 might also be one too, but it all just depends. But I think everybody knows at least one person that's like that, where they might have been good friends. They may still talk to them, be friendly with the person, but it's definitely a different relationship after a while, and it depends on where you are in life personally, where that could change. I've talked about, you know, different stages of life in here. This type of thing, I'm talking about the one friend that ended up just never really progressing. And so when we get downstairs, we'll talk more about that, the type of friend, the things that may or may not occur when talking to them, and then just the weird decision to say, all right, that's enough, you know, and we'll talk more about that when we get to Mother Base.
All right, so started this day off with squats, which were pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter at hand here today. That one friend that forgot to grow up. So the main reason why I wanted to talk about this was because this was on the list for a while there, but a lot of the times I feel like most people understand or know a person that's like this in their life, really, that unfortunately they just never really got the memo. They are a little bit older and never really got out of whatever habit was kind of holding them back, and they've just tripled down on the habit, whatever it is. Usually it's either drugs or alcohol. Most of the time, that's usually how it goes, but it's just kind of saddening when you see it happening, really. Obviously, this is more geared towards older people because, you know, you're not going to see this when you're 18 to 21. You're going to just be doing dumb shit, honestly, probably until 25. But usually around that age, around 25, 26, people start getting their shit together. It's when you start entering your 30s and people aren't getting their shit together. You really have this person that is in your life, really, that you decide, hey, maybe I should distance myself from them because realistically they are not doing anything. Now, by not doing anything, I don't mean necessarily they don't have a job, because jobs are difficult to come by. I'm not even going to say that. It's more of a, like, they are actively doing things to harm themselves in a different way, shape, or fashion, whether it be alcohol or some type of drug, really. Sometimes it could be a drug that is benign, like weed, but even still it will take you into a deep, dark place that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but that's a subject for a different day. The reason why a lot of this happens is mostly because the idea of what is their past is never really processed, and thus they use coping mechanisms in order to get through it. That's really what it is. You can tell when this is happening to somebody, really, when you start hanging out with them, and hanging out with them, it becomes more of a chore than it actually is a good time. Most of the time now that I've grown, I could see that every time I hang out with a friend now, for the most part, I would say 99% of the time, it's usually a good time because we are just chilling and having a good time, just trying to catch up. That's literally 99% of the hangouts now. There are certain people that I feel like if I try to hang out with them, it would be more of a burden to hang out with them because of the fact that they are either X, Y, or Z, or very particular with their ways of doing things, into the point where it's not even fun to even just try to chit chat with them. I'd rather just be home and doing something else completely. And then that's the other thing about it too, is making sure that you're not this friend, to make sure that you're not the one that, hey, nobody likes to hang out with you anymore because you haven't really stopped partying. Who wants to get drunk on a Tuesday, brother? Calm down. That type of stuff. And I feel like you got to make sure you aren't that person. You have to self-reflect and make sure, oh, did my friends leave me all of a sudden? No, they didn't. Okay, then I'm good. I'm doing something with my life. But if you don't see that happening, and now you are slightly the oldest person in the room, let's say you're going to shadier and shadier places, you start doing more and more things that are just kind of like questionable, maybe you should stop and look around and see who's you're hanging out with and seeing if you're not going down that rabbit hole. Because a lot happens to a lot of people, and I feel like it happens to a lot of people that they don't even realize that they're going down this pathway where they become the issue. They just don't want to see it or they can't see it because it's so close to them that they can't really see it or put it in focus. And really, if you have good friends, hopefully they will tell you. But sometimes people will just be too afraid to tell the other friend that, hey, you got a couple of issues you got to work on, brother. You got to grow up because realistically, we got a lot of life left to live. So you got to do something about it. But sometimes those people have just gone away by that point and they just said, fuck it. I also want to mention that there are habits that will make people go away, but that's kind of a different subject matter in a whole other sense.
And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercise is not filmed. None. Exercise is skipped. We have one. I've skipped wrist rollers. My hands and forearms are still sore from the rock climbing adventure that we had the other day. But anyways, back to the main subject matter. One friend that never grew up. It's an interesting thing when you look at it from a perspective of when you're now in your 30s. It's more of a almost sympathetic, but also like you understand that now at this point in their life, if they haven't gotten the picture, they haven't gotten it yet, they're never going to really get it. Maybe something will happen and that will happen. They'll learn it the hard way. Maybe. I've discussed that here. But nowadays, after 30, if they haven't really had that hard experience by then, it's going to just not get any better, I feel like. And then at that point, you can kind of just let these types of people go out of your life. They aren't necessarily a net positive. They may not be a net negative, but it's only time that will tell if they will become a net negative. You know, it's interesting to see these types of people because it's like, it's weird. It's like you're their friend, but you also want to like slap them in the face to like help them like wake up, realize what's going on, wake up and smell the fish, you know. It's very sad too, because it's like it's a tough situation, especially when it's just a friend that you know that you could see doing so much better, but they aren't for X, Y, or Z reasons. And sometimes it is reasons that are out of their control, which is just the worst, because then it's like, well, okay, you can't really do anything about what's happening to you, and you can't really leave the situation that you're in, so you're kind of just screwed. And it sucks because it's like you want to be there for them, but they end up turning to different things like vices and whatnot in order to escape from the realities that are facing them. And realistically, you know, unless you're fucked as well, then you're just going to be joining them down that rabbit hole. So I'd be careful about that. And that's is what it is, really. And then if you are that friend, make sure you aren't that friend. Just make sure that, hey, maybe all of my friends have disappeared for X, Y, or Z reasons. Maybe self-reflect a little and understand why they might have left you behind or separated themselves from you. Ask them. Be like, hey, why don't we hang? Why? Just get answers, even if it's gonna hurt, or even tell them, even if it sucks, just tell me why, you know? Because I think a lot of people don't want to actually ask these hard and tough questions, and some people won't want to give the hard and tough answers, but at the same time, you can't really know what you're doing wrong unless somebody else tells you what you're doing wrong, right? And this applies mostly to other people that you like are friends, not necessarily like periphery people. You know, some people that you end up hanging out with who are periphery people aren't necessarily the best for you. You know, alcoholics might hang out with other alcoholics. That such case in point. But that is just an example of that. But anyways, if you are somebody that is like this, ask around, figure it out, and maybe change a couple things. If you are unwilling to change, then understand that other people are going to be leaving you for God knows how long, and you're going to have a tough time doing a bunch of stuff in your life because people aren't going to stick around because of your antics. So it is a double-edged sword. Nobody cares, but also nobody cares, you know? So it is what it is. But with that being said, tell me what you think in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. This one was more of a random one, but also just a one that has somewhat to do with the themes on this channel. So I always like talking about these types of things. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thanks again for watching. I do appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy. Stay safe out there. Stay cool out there. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace!